Thank you for joining once again and welcome back to Pedagogy Pods. Today we're going to talk about something very important. I think every day we picked up an important chapter, but today is slightly special because we are going to talk about the science and art of learning. Make sense? Well, it will as we unpack what is this science and art of learning. Well, we believe, and in our experience, and I think researchers over time have shown that learning has to happen to you. You cannot make learning happen to somebody unless you are engaged and involved in that learning. One doesn't really learn. What do I mean? Well, we're going to talk more about it. I'll let Meenakshi throw in some light, and then probably I'll pick it up from there.
I mean, actually, such an important and such a relevant topic.
Yeah.
And I think we are forwarding in this direction very, very fast.
Yeah.
That we are making our classrooms more student oriented, which makes the science and art of learning happen to this thing efficiently. For example, if we're teaching a story, there is a story in, let me take an example of Kabuliwala because that's my favorite story.
Yes,
I've taken it already also.
Yeah.
So if we take the story of Kabuliwala, Rabindranath Tagore wrote this beautiful story which evokes many, many emotions, and it is so lovely for students. But sometimes I face this challenge that students are not able to relate to the story because the story was written a long ago when Kabul people were coming to India, to Calcutta to sell dry fruits.
That is actually so true. It's difficult for students to really relate to someone coming from Kabul with dry fruits and
and selling it in the streets of Calcutta.
Exactly. I mean, these days we have these protected condos where people can't come in, right? Good one actually, yes.
But I don't want my students not to read the story because that's such a beautiful story.
Yes.
So how to relate it to them?
Yeah.
That's the challenge. But very this thing we have made some strategies for that. Very thoughtful and very strategies which make students make connections.
Oh yeah, that's a beautiful way actually. Especially when you're trying to learn something that is not really directly related to you, it's great if the teacher can help establish connections between story and let's say yourself, your world, or I'll let her carry forward.
Yeah, there are some beautiful ways to make connections. First, I just prefer to make text-to-text connections.
Yeah.
If we read something like Kabuliwala, so I tell them what is Wala and what is Kabuliwala. They just separate these two things and they link their world by doing something else. Just if they use in these days also something wala, sabzi wala.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Actually, that's a right compound words. Absolutely.
Yeah, compound words. They make connections.
Yeah.
Then second thing is which is very successful is image to text.
Okay.
When you show images of those times.
Yeah.
I show that ki, and I don't disclose them that this is the chapter. Before that only I show them images of old Calcutta, the streets. I let them imagine the streets where people are coming and selling things to the kids, and they beautifully make connections with that. And I ask them questions also, and they also ask questions. When they see the picture, they ask questions. Ma'am, who is this? Why this is happening? Because they have so many questions. So they ask to each other. They ask to teacher. They can make beautiful connections with that. So I think making these connections are very important.
You're right. Actually, what you were trying to convey was building a context around what they're going to talk about and learn about.
For sure.
Even if this was a story set in Calcutta, how many students in your class sitting over there will know where is Calcutta? So what I would also do is, to lend to what Meenakshi has just said, I would bring in a map of India to say, okay, locate where is Calcutta.
Wow, I can incorporate this.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
so beautiful.
How far are you from Calcutta right now? How long will it take for you to reach there? What mode of transport will you use? And to compare today's Calcutta and yesterday's Calcutta, probably pictures, like you said, are going to be so important. Now and then kind of a image that this is what Calcutta looks like, because they should form an image that Calcutta
And then
looks
we
like
can-
that today.
We can ask some students who are from Calcutta and somebody who had been to Calcutta, and they can explain today's Calcutta.
Absolutely. So that would be a great way to make a lot of connection with the place, so that you get invested in that story. You know what's the scenario that you're talking about. You know, you can even talk about any book that you've read, any other story which was from Calcutta, any character that you know from Calcutta, any movie that you know was set in Calcutta. Those are the kind of, you know, connections that are very important, that you are doing context building, getting students invested in learning before starting to dwell into a story. A story can be told like a story, that if it were her and she were telling the story, she would find beautiful
You know,
ways to make it.
sometimes we showed them a movie also called Kabuliwala.
There you go. See, I didn't even know that existed, but yes.
There is a movie
Yeah.
called Kabuliwala, and which is so beautiful. So students too, and it was black and white movie.
Ah.
Still they saw it so keenly and so this
Wow.
thing, because they knew the story. I first taught them story, then I showed them the movie.
How wonderful. Just imagine you're looking at this, you're reading this story like a story, and then it is made into a movie in an era when things existed. So it's literally the best of the visualization that was possible. And I'm sure,
Visualization is a beautiful technique,
Yeah,
Meenakshi. It's so beautiful to show pictures of the places, pictures of the story, and relate, and students can relate to pictures for so long.
yeah, it just stays with you.
It
That
stays with you.
memory image that just stays with you. Also, Meenakshi, that reminds me, I did something similar. I did something similar but different but similar. So we were doing animal habitats. And we wanted a kind of a scenario where there are a number of animals. So I looked for some movies. So my context was different, and I was a science teacher. Actually, I was a homeroom teacher. I used to teach all subjects. So I picked up The Lion King as my movie.
Wow.
It had different animals, and it showed a very beautiful connection to human life when a child is born, or you know, when a prince is born, what happens, and all of those, you know. So that was a very relatable concept. So The Lion King was one movie that I used. I took it to make it to help it being done as an annual production, literally.
And I remember it till now.
Yeah,
Because that scene of
Simba.
showing Simba,
Yes.
and that circle of life,
Yes.
and that songs,
Yeah.
and I
You
just remember
remember?
it so this way.
Everything for that was done by
Each and every
students.
picture of that place still in my mind.
Yeah, and you know, even till date, every student remembers how they played an important part in being a part of the whole scenario. We were painting the scenes, we were making PowerPoints to create those scenarios, we were making masks to make the characters come live, we were designing dresses. So every department in the school was working towards an annual production. And no, academically we did not suffer, because it was very well planned. It's like an annual production, so it happens throughout the year in bits and pieces, and it comes alive on the day. So yes, of course, the last few days are dedicated to it and all of that, but I think that every school does. However, the build-up starts much longer. Writing of the scripts by students, writing of dialogues by students, creating of the
Everywhere, I think they were part of it. They were
everything
part
is
of
there.
it, and I think that's the concept of the topic of today.
Yeah.
That making them a part of learning is extremely important.
Yeah. And you know, imagine a chapter starting from animal habitats, going into language and literature by writing dialogues, by writing a whole story,
Yes.
bringing a story and converting it into dialogues for you to speak, drama coming in with, you know, our students acting out, art coming in, African style masks being made. So imagine the kind of learning that has happened over there, and it just blurred the lines of all subject areas, and all subjects used to come together to make measurements, dimensions, everything. Every subject used to come and play. You can actually hear the passion oozing out of us, you know, while we're talking about it.
Sometimes I did in my language classes. One child was an interviewer, and another was giving interview. There was a chapter about a hockey player.
Yeah.
So I made players, and they were so excited because especially the young kids, they're so excited about sports.
Absolutely.
So sportsmen of their choice, they wanted to interview them. They write those interview dialogues first, and all the skills are coming in picture.
Exactly.
All the skills.
And you know what is this helping in? Retention.
Retention.
And
Yes.
that brings me to another, beautiful thought that researchers show that humans are hardwired to forget, not to retain, but to forget.
To forget,
And you know what? My first thought after reading this line was, oh, thank God, it's not just me and it's not my age catching up. We are hardwired to forget, so I forget. However, what's your take on humans are hardwired to forget?
Yeah, I mean, actually, totally agree with that. It's not even the age. I think when we see some serial, some movie, one series is gone and another series is coming after 6 months. Nothing from the first series is
Just
retaining
imagine.
because
And therefore, there's always this capsule which will help you.
yes,
You know,
that
look into the past.
recapitulation
Yeah.
of the thing. And here comes another topic.
Exactly.
That repeating the concepts again and again, intertwining them to another this thing is so important.
Not when you're doing adjectives, you'll not talk about nouns. Not that while you're doing adverbs, you'll not talk about adjectives. It is spiraling back into that learning. It helps you revise. Spiral lesson plans are something that are the talk right now. So as far as lesson planning is concerned, but why is this concept coming is because it helps in retention. You're not just moving on and jumping from one topic to another. Mathematics, sciences, every topic is very different. Mathematics you might still build on the concepts. Sciences you literally move from plants and animals to air, water to metals to I don't know what all. How do you make a connection?
And students forget once you teach them another day. I think they retain only half of that.
Yeah, that's because they're learning so many subjects in a day. I mean, 8 hours of learning, so to say, but that learning is really not learning. And that's exactly what we are trying to pinpoint. That what we are doing right now is teaching, it's not learning. So, to make learning happen, the child has to be a part of the learning cycle. The child has to go through that learning, experience, and immerse themselves in learning. Therefore, the first step has to be get them hooked into that chapter, the topic, the context. It is very important. Make it relevant for students so that
make them participate in the learning process.
I would say, yeah, participation can be of many formats. Participation could be group participation. Participation could be individual participation, large group, small group, pairs. What really works well is different types of participation.
Different types of participation.
You were talking to me about peer-to-peer learning.
Peer-to-peer learning.
Let me hear
is
from
very
Meenakshi
important.
on peer-to-peer learning.
Yes, we have to find it out, and I must say that we should not worry about that curriculum will suffer from this, so we will not be able to complete our syllabus.
Yeah.
We have to make a 5 minutes or 10 minutes capsule to do that. Peer-to-peer learning is you have taught some chapters, somebody is not picking up the chapter, so you can ask someone who has picked up it so nicely, can come to the class and teach the concept.
Yeah, and peer-to-peer learning is non-threatening. It's like asking your friend how it works.
And they are also excited about this.
They are.
When I used to do this thing, Shutlek, dictation, so when I used to do it in the board and I used to ask them to come and write on the board, they were so excited, they used to run towards the board and not threatened by that. So
in peer-to-peer learning, what we used to do is, while you said dictation,
check with the students will check
each other's work.
work.
So that is what happens that you exchange your notebook and you check each other's work. So what we did was something slightly different. We said check your own work and then exchange it with your friend or your peer who is sitting next to you to see what went right and what didn't. That just built a kind of a rapport between the two students where they would go ahead to see that, okay, if you can spell this one properly, I think this is where the problem lies. So, you're not just crossing out things, or even if sometimes your friend tells you, did you really prepare for this test? And you are it's okay for you to say not really, that's why I couldn't write.
Mm.
But if you had to say this to a teacher, oh God forbid it. That's something every child dreads and no one wants to confess. It's like, we understand, there are days where you will be prepared and days you will not be prepared. But peer learning just brings down the fear of learning, and it also builds confidence in each other's abilities. For example,
And both gain from that.
yeah, that's what for
Both gain
example,
from that. If
when
I'm
Akshi
teaching
points
you,
out-
you
yeah.
will also gain and I will also gain.
Yeah. Like, Meenakshi, if she tells me that I think what you've done is written IE and it should have been EI instead of IE, I have a new sense of respect for her because she knows that part better than me. So next time I need to consult and check, hey, what was it? I before or E before? I always have that comfort level.
And
to
I
go and
will
learn
also
from
be
her.
reinforcing my concepts.
Yeah, yeah. She will be reinforcing herself. I will be going and confirming my learning or remembrance or recall by asking her. Yeah. So there are many ways in which you can actually help students learn. Our whole sole purpose here today was to help you or to remind you that it is very important for us to remember learning has to happen to me and I have to make it happen. No one can make it happen for me. Yeah.
That's true.
Thank you so much for joining us. I hope this has some takeaways for you, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.